games. It's ScrubGames. Drop a like, drop a sub, go ahead and subscribe to ScrubGames. Drop a like, drop a sub, go ahead and subscribe to ScrubGames.
How's it going, ScrubGamers? Welcome back to another video here at ScrubGames, and today we have the next in my Understand How to Build series, where we go over all the leaders in a given set to help you understand how to build them to suit you and your playstyle. Now, we have gone over all the other green leaders, so all the other command ones, and now we're on the last one, and this one being Obi-Wan Kenobi. So if you're a fan of Obi-Wan, then stay tuned, and also don't forget, you can also like, comment, and subscribe to keep updated with my videos as and when they drop. And by clicking on the notification bell, you can get alerts when my videos do drop, so you can watch them there and then, or at a later time that suit you best. So, also don't forget, we are on our way to 2,000 subs, and we're just currently 27 subs away. So if you can do any little bit of help to get there, that's fantastic. Thank you. If you're already subbed, thank you very much. Now, with that out of the way, let's get into it and help you understand how to build Obi-Wan Kenobi. So what we're going to do first is go over the leader, as Star Wars Unlimited is a leader-based game, and you can't really play without one, and they're mainly going to build your deck around. So what we're going to do is look at Obi-Wan Kenobi, the leader, and see what he kind of benefits from, what kind of effects he has and also when he deploys stuff. Because leaders have an effect, which they have both in the leader area and when they're deployed, and also sometimes they can be more powered up versions when they deploy it, or they can be completely different. So for Obi-Wan Kenobi, he is a Heroism and Command leader. So he's got both the Heroism and Command traits, and he also has nice beneficial. Those are the aspects. He has also some good traits in Force, Jedi, and Republic. Now every leader in this set has the Force trait, so they all have that. But he also gets the Jedi and Republic trait. There are some good benefits to having the Jedi trait, some really good ones, and also some good benefits to having the Republic trait as well. He also deploys quite early, not too early, but quite early at 5 resources. So as soon as you get 5 resources down, then you can then deploy him, but that's only once per game because it's epic action. And with his effect, it's all about buffing up units by giving him more experience. Now, what Obi-Wan needs to do is use the Force mechanic, so the brand new mechanic we got in this set being the Force. He has to use that to be able to do it, but it only uses the Force. You don't have to pay any extra resources or anything like Snoke does. So Obi-Wan's effect in the lead area is an action whereby tapping him or exhausting him and using the Force, so using the Force mechanic, using your Force token, you can then give an experience token to a unit as long as they don't have an experience token on it. So as long as they don't have any experience tokens on, they can still have a shield and things like that, but as long as they don't have an experience token on, you can give them experience. So it means you can't stack multiple experience tokens on a unit, and if a unit already has an experience token on, you can't add one again. So it kind of limits it, but it makes it so any unit can potentially be an extra 1/1 stronger than they normally are, which is pretty nice. Especially when you can spread out as well, it's pretty good. Now when he deploys at 5 resources, he comes out as a 3/6, so 3 power and 6 health, which is really, really good, decent stats. 3 power is not a massive amount, but it's still a solid amount. And 6 power is very good because it's not 5, you want to be higher than 5, so you're not instantly taken out by takedown, or even damage effects like open fire if you're 4 health, or even things like force choke if you're at 5 health. Now his effect now is basically the same, but now it no longer requires you to use force, and no longer requires you to tap the unit, just you need to attack. So it's now on attack, you can give an experience token to another friendly unit, or another unit without an experience token on it. So you can't buff him, unlike Snoke, you can't buff himself, but you can still keep giving experience tokens to every unit as long as they don't have experience. So that's essentially what he does. He's all about buffing up every unit, so basically building up your army so that way you can make them a little bit stronger than they usually are. So the base stats are an extra 1 higher on both stats. And he also is green, so he has extra ramp, so you can kind of deploy quicker and even buy out bigger things and start buffing those. Now another thing he has is a showcase as well. So he has a showcase, and this is Obi-Wan Kenobi showcase. It is, showcases are alternative arts. So essentially there are different arts, more shiny, higher rarity arts you can get of any leader in the game, so you can have a more blinged out deck. Now with them being alternative arts, art is always subjective, so if you like it, fair enough. If you don't like it, also fair enough, because the only opinion that matters when it comes to alternative arts or arts on a card is yours, because you'll be the one playing it. So as Obi-Wan's, you can also get them on a mat at the Galactic Championships. They had a mats of this as well. So yeah, it's pretty nice one. It's a pretty nice art. I do like it, but then I do like the kind of style, the Cunning style. But then, yeah, it depends if you want to kind of get the showcase. But if you do, go ahead and get it. So that's the leader. Now let's tune into the next part. So this is the part where I go over the basics of the game to help any newer or brand new player have the full understanding how to play the game. Go for the basics incorporated with understanding how to build a leader they're interested in. But I did get some feedback, and while I did put skippable like chapters in the video so you could skip it if you didn't need it, it was very handy for some people. There are some people who are brand new that loved that it was all incorporated in. But there are some people that always complained about it because it made the video too long, and also they didn't need it in other chapters. So what I've done is just gone ahead and taken it out, because that way it also helps me by not having to repeat myself of the same thing in every single video, and then have a dedicated video on understanding the basics. So coming up should be a little card, I think, at the top that should take you to a link to the video called Understand the Basics for this is the 4th edition, and I cover all the basics of the game, even the brand new mechanics we got in this set. So I'm going to do every single set to help basically cover the basics of what that new set brings to it. Some sets do bring something new, like new keywords and things like that, and this set put a whole new mechanic in the Force. So if you're brand new to the game or a new player, I recommend you go and check that video out to understand the basics of the game as up to set 5, and then come back and help you understand how to build Obi-Wan Kenobi after that. So go and check that out. And if you're not brand new and you're more a veteran, you don't need that, then let's get onto the video. So here we're going to have the aspect options, and these are the 4 options Obi-Wan has. There is a 5th, but that requires you to use a base that gives you no aspect. So there is technically 5, but the other one gives you only the 2 aspects your leader provides, no third aspect, which is not really beneficial, because even a 2nd aspect or a 3rd aspect from a base will do more than just that extra 4 health. So the 4 options you have is double green, green blue, green red, or green yellow. So depending on what base you partner with Obi-Wan Kenobi, who provides you with the white and green traits, or Heroism and Command, you'll get the other traits with it. So what we're going to do now is go through every single different aspect combination and see what the benefits are, and see if they're a worthwhile aspect for Obi-Wan to have. So the first one we're going to start off with is Command, because that's the aspect that you get from Obi-Wan Kenobi himself, and also partner with Heroism, you get him as well. And also then we're going to cover double aspect, because that's the one where you got the least amount of options in all of the aspect combos. So for a base, you kind of want a Force base, because you need to use the Force the majority of the time, because unless you can keep Obi-Wan out deployed for longer than a turn or 2, then you need to use the Force to get the full effect of his leader side ability. So the 2 bases you have to gain the Force in green are the standard common base, which requires you to attack with a Force unit to gain the Force, or Mystic Monastery, which can gain the Force but just doesn't actually gain the Force, but you can only use it up to 3 times a game, which means as long as you're not planning on using it every turn or multiple times in the game, more than 3 times, then it could be useful, but most likely you're going to want to use it more often. It's going to be a Force base. But if you don't want to use a Force base and you don't want to get the benefit until everyone does deploy, then you've got Energy Conversion Lab, or ECL for short, which is one that can give you ambush on a unit with ambush as your action for the one-time action for the game. It's pretty good at 25 health. Or Data Vault, which increases your deck by 10 cards to have the extra 3 health, so go for 50 to 60 minimum for your deck. Or the 30 health common bases that are just skillless, that have nothing else, no effects or anything like that, the bare minimum. So those are the base options you have for Command. Now also, Command is the ramp aspect, so you have a lot of ramp cards, and these are the main 4 you're going to probably be seeing or playing. You got the cheaper ones at 2 costs, which are Spark of Hope and Passing Head, but these ones don't just ramp you for 2, you need to have more setup. Like Passing Head, you need to put on a unit, your opponent a unit that you don't own that you can defeat, so when you do defeat it, you can play the bounty and ramp. So it's one you can play on turn 2, but you won't get the ramp until the turns afterwards at least. And then with Spark of Hope, this is the same thing where you don't ramp straight away, you need to have extra things happen. So this is one where you choose a unit in your discard pile, and if it's defeated this phase, you can play it as a resource. So you need to play something out first, then have it defeated to then use this. So extra steps, but a cheap cost. Then the standard one you're normally going to see in any ramp deck mainly is Resupply, because it's just easy. Once you get to turn 2, which is a free resource turn, you get to play this and make it a resource. So play it, add it to your resources. Very easy, the easiest one to play out of one, because it requires no extra steps and ramp straight away. And you have resupply carrier for your later one, which is a later one at 6, so double cost resupply, but the same thing where it ramps straight away and provides you with a unit too, so a body plus ramp. So those are your main 4 ramp options. Now for command, or for any aspect really, most of the best cards are in the villainy or heroism aspects. So you get one of those depending on what your leader gives you. So Obi-Wan in the heroism aspect, which means you get access to that, so the good side. But for command, you do have some pretty nice units, like you've got the top lot there, being like Cobb Vamp for Mascanada, good turn 2 plays, Mascanada making use of the Force trait by being one of those battle tricks where you can attend when you play her, you can attack with a Force unit, it gets extra power for that attack, so it becomes attacks for more than it usually does. Whereas Cobb Vamp, when taken out, you get to look at the top 10 cards of your deck, mill from those 10 a unit that has a cost of 2 or less, and then be able to play it for free from your discard pile as an action during that turn. Then you've got your Jedi Temple Guards, which is an ambush one to help you gain the Force with those common bases. So ambush attacks right away to gain the Force and restore 2, and then can be buffed by Obi-Wan himself. And then you got Dago and Master. This is a 5/5/5, so a card you can play on the deployed turn of Obi-Wan. And he's got the ability to use the Force as well, where when played or when defeated, you can use the Force and look at the top 5 cards of your deck for a Force unit to get added to your hand, which is good. So you can make more use of the Force outside just Obi-Wan. And you've got Terentarak and Agent Callus, which are ambushes, which ambush in different ways. Terentarak being a 5/5/5 that can ambush if your opponent controls a Force unit. So it gains ambush if your opponent has a Force unit, so anti-Force ambushing. Whereas Agent Callus is a 5/4/4 that has ambush all the time, and then while he's on the board, whenever another unique unit is defeated, which is a lot of units in the game, then you get to draw a card, and you can only use it once around. Then for your bigger top end, you've got Reinforcement Walkers, your big 8-drop, who just one play to one attacks. You can look at the top card of your deck, you can have add it to your hand and add more options to yourself on your hand, or you can discard it and heal 5. Oh, sorry, heal 3. It's heal 3. So it's your big top end that can hit with its very solid stats as a 6/9, and also can then potentially heal and or draw cards. Now you've got some good upgrades like Traitorous and General's Blade being very nice ones. Traitorous allows you to take your opponent's cheaper units. Like if your opponent plays small units and then buff them up, you can take those with this. This costs 5, but it's kind of worth it most of the time. And you've got General's Blade is one of those not Jedi ones, those lightsaber upgrades, which is a free cost free, so a good buff for its cost. And if the unit is a Jedi that is attached to, whenever that unit would attack, it allows you to play the next card you would play that phase, costing 2 less. So it's a cost reduction, which is really good. And since Obi-Wan is a Jedi unit, or Jedi leader, you can put this on when he deploys, make him turn him from a 3/6 to a 6/9, and then be able to attack, buff up something, and then play something cheaper by 2 cost. You then also have Timely Invention as one of your events, which allows you to ambush more often by playing a unit with ambush. You can also smuggle it in so you can resource it and use it later. Resupply is a ramp like we've got over, and then you got Choose Size, good side deck card, where you get to choose a friendly unit you control, unit you control and a unit your opponent controls, and switch control of them. So like a switch sides kind of thing. So those are the command cards. Then in Heroism, that's where some of the better cards are. Like I said, better cards are in Heroism. So you got some pretty nice ones. You got turn 2 you got 2 cost players, which are going to be played turn 1 or onwards. So you got Republic Tactical Officer, which is like Mascanada, but it's for a Republic trait rather than Force. So it does the same thing. It's a little bit cheaper in different stats, but allows you to attack with a Republic card and buff it by 2 for that attack. You got Jedi Consular, who also gets to use the Force by making more use of the Force token, and he's kind of a combination of the General's Blade as well, because you can use this effect by tapping and using the Force, and play a unit from your hand and cost 2 less. You can play things 2 turns ahead, which is pretty cool. You've got Akbar, well, not a Force unit, is a really nice one, where when played, you can do damage to a unit equal to the number of units you control in that same arena, so ground to ground, space to space, and it's pretty nice, also with some restore. You've got Evekoff, who is also some ramp, but he's a Force ramper, because when defeated, you can use the Force to then ramp him into resources, so he's a 4-cost 5/4, hits quite hard, and when defeated, if you have the Force, you can use it to ramp him into your resources. You also got some good pilots like Luke and Chewbacca, been pretty nice ones. You can pilot on by paying a different cost to their normal card, the normal printed cost, to equip them as upgrades to a vehicle, and then while equipped to a vehicle, they might have an effect, and then also buff them up by the stats at the bottom. And speaking of vehicles, you have some pretty nice ones in command, being Blue Leader, Bright Hope, and Home 1, all offering some pretty nice stuff. Blue Leader being a nice ambusher that can switch sides, which switch from the space arena to the ground arena. Bright Hope being a nice sentinel in space, and Home 1 being your big top end that can even play out things cheaper from your discard pile, thanks to its effect by playing a Heroism unit from your discard pile at a reduced cost of 3. While also having Restore, and giving everything else you control Restore 2. Well, not Restore 2, but Restore as well. Then you got Yellow's Lightsaber as a nice upgrade, so a pretty simple upgrade. 2 cost, it gives free 1 to the unit, but also allows you to use the Force when you equip it to heal free from your base, so a nice bit of healing there. And in terms of events, you've got things like Spark of Hope, once again, we've already got over the ramp, and then U-Ring Reinforcement, which is a nice 7 cost event that allows you to spam the board more, because it allows you to look at top 10 cards of your deck, pick up to 3 units that have a combined cost among them of 7 or less, and play them for free. So you can even play things out of aspect to not worry about the aspect penalty, and also either go for one big thing or multiple small things. You also have Heroism as well, because the nice thing about Heroism is it doesn't just come out on its own as cards, but also equipped. So while it's on cards with not some of the color aspect cards, it's also on its own aspect cards as well. So you get Heroism on its own or with a color aspect. You've got nice things like Grogu, Sabine's Masterpiece, the Daughter, and also Tranquility be nice events. Well, not events, sorry, units. You got Grogu be a nice one to kind of move damage about by healing damage off a unit and move it onto, and then doing that much damage to another unit. You got Sabine's Masterpiece, which depending on what aspects you have, one of the color aspects out, you get a benefit. So if you have all 4, you get all 4 benefits. But if you only have some, you get the benefits of that one. You got the Daughter, which can use the Force to kind of heal damage from your base every time you take damage to your base. And you got Tranquility, be a nice big spaceship, grabs back a Republic unit from your discard pile, and when it attacks, reduces the next 3 Republic units or cards you play by 1, which is cool. And then, since we have a Force-focused leader in Obi-Wan, we kind of need to use the Force. And if you're going for a Force focus, which is a good thing to do with Obi-Wan, since you need to use the Force to match its effects, you have some of these units, like Force units that can gain you the Force. You have your early turn 1 plays, like Jedi Consular, Gundy, and Luke, which are all Force units you can play turn 1. You then gain the Force, and even some have some benefits, like Luke being a pilot as well, and Jedi Consular being able to play things in 2 turns ahead, which is really cool. You also have your turn 2 plays like Obi-Wan, Maz Kanata, and Grogu, all nice benefits. Obi-Wan being a nice sentinel whenever you play a Force unit or himself. Maz Kanata, a nice battle trick as well, which is cool, kind of attack with more power. And Grogu being a way to heal damage off your units and maybe damage your opponent's units. And then ways to use the Force like Eefkoff, Digger Master, and Daughter, being able to allow you to use the Force in some way if you're not using it for your leader. Get some benefits like Eefkoff ramping, Digger Master searching, and the Daughter healing. Then your top end is normally Keter and Beck and Yoda being really strong ones. Keter and Beck is similar to Home 1, where when it's played you can play out a unit at reduced cost of 3, but this time it's from the top of your deck instead of the discard pile, and it's not limited to Heroism units, it's limited to any unit. So you can play any unit from your discard pile, and any unit from the top 7 cards off your deck at a reduced cost of 3. So it's reduced by 3, so if it costs 3 or less, it's absolutely free. If it costs any more, you can still pay more any extra resources to play them out from the top 7. And you got Yoda, which gets a nice benefit using the Force by when played, using it to heal 5 from your base, and it's got another effect where every time you do use the Force, you can do damage to a unit equal to the number of units you control times 2. So 2 for every unit you control is damage every time you use the Force, which can be used multiple. If you use it multiple times, that's a lot of damage. And then Yoda's lightsaber, as we've seen, a nice buffing upgrade that also can heal your base. So good benefits to be in the Force. So double aspect is something we're going to go over first, and it's the smallest of the card pools, because essentially you're losing access to a whole aspect in terms of Vigilance, Aggression, and Cunning to have access to these 12 cards without the aspect penalty. Now some of these are worth it, some of them are not, because with double aspect, it's a lot smaller of card pool, but in the beginning it wasn't really accessible to many because we have a lot less cards. Now we've got a lot more sets, we've got a lot more options, and every leader has access to them at an even rate. But you still got to think about it, are these 12 cards worth it? And what we're going to do is quickly look at that, because while we have 12 cards, not all of them are even usable. So out of these 12 cards, these are the amount that I feel are usable with Obi-Wan, and that is just 3. So I don't feel that many of them, only 3 of the cards are useful, because you got General Krill, which is once again a Force Jedi Republic unit, so you want to gain the Force and also same traits. Is not the best stats to its cost, that you got the same stats on a 1 cost less that can then ramp you by using the Force. So for extra 1, you want better stats, but sadly it doesn't bring it. But it does make it so every other friendly unit makes it so when they're defeated, they draw a card. So you get that draw power then, but you don't really need that too much. You got Command, which is extra ramp, and also has the ability to also buff up units by 2 by giving 2 experience, or even grab units from your discard pile back as well. So utility there. It does have a damaging and removal effect, but it's not very good since most of the units in this game that I played are unique. And you got Opera Francis, which has got very good stats for its cost and can copy the same keywords as other units you have. So if every unit has a keyword, you can copy it and gain it as well. But do you really want to have access to these 3 cards and lose access to a whole other aspect for these 3 cards? And the answer is no, not really. So double aspect is not really a good thing to go for Obi-Wan. You can try it if you want, but I wouldn't recommend it. So let's move on to Vigilance. So next one we have is Vigilance, and this is more of the like healing, removal, and defensive aspect. So look at the bases first. You've got 2 force bases you can have. You can either have the standard column, tap the force unit, gain force, easy enough. Or you can go for the rare one, which this one gives you the force at the end of your turn. By if you control a unit with 4 or more remaining HP, the force is with you. So there's a way to get the force before the start of your next turn, so you can use it straight away. But the problem with this is you only gain the force once a turn, because you can't get it any other ways unless you've got every class you can do, which are not many. And you only gain the force once. So once you get one time using it, whereas with the attacking bases like Shattered Undercity, you can gain the force more often. Not only use it just for Obi-Wan, but for every cards. But if you don't use many cards that use the force outside of, so you just run out Obi-Wan use the force, not any other cards. Virgin's Temple could be an easy way to make sure you gain the force, have it ready without needing to attack. So you can maybe on turn 1 make sure by the start of your first turn or second turn, you can use things like Jedi Consider straight away to drop a 5 cost on turn 2, or you can use it to buff up whatever you want. And then if you don't want a force base, you've got things like Colossus, having the most health in the game, but making your hand start 1 less. You start with 5 cards instead of 6. Pal City, making Obi-Wan bigger when he's out and about, by making him, when he's deployed, have 1 more health. And you've got the 30 health bases as standard as well if you don't feel you need those. So we're going to go over Anakin first, because Blue has this new Anakin legendary. And it's very powerful because it's got 2 unplayeds, and they both minus a unit by free, as long as you have a certain aspect in your discard pile. The aspects are, one of them needs Heroism, the other one needs Villainy. And the thing with these aspects are, they're kind of polar opposites. Whether you're playing Villainy or you're playing Heroism, you're not really mixing them, because they're not on any card together, and they will create a penalty depending on what leader you choose. If you're a dark side leader, the Heroism one will give you a cost of penalty, whereas the Heroism, well, vice versa really. So some decks are incorporating Villainy cards in and finding easier or simple ways to either discard them or use them, so cheaper ones to use. They can get that ever aspect in, so that you can get the full effect and do minus 6/6 from playing, which is really, really strong. Minus just free is strong, but minus a 6/6 is amazing, which is why it is one of the strongest and best legendaries in the set. So the main way you can really get the benefit of Anakin, and the best way to put it in, is by using Power of the Dark Side. Because what's normally a free cost event is going to cost 5 with Obi-Wan, but at least it's going to do something useful in removal. It just makes your opponent choose a unit you control and defeat it. So the less units your opponent has, the more impactful. The more they have, the less impactful. But it's going to be a Villainy unit that you can use straight away, easy enough to do some removal. And in the turn after you do it, because it costs 5, the turn after you can drop Anakin and start minusing free on minus 6/6 on units as well. So we're going to start with Heroism instead of just Vigilance first, because that's where the better cards are. So for Heroism and Vigilance, you've got these cards. You've got a lot of good units you can have. So you got your turn 1, you got Yaddle's probably one of the best turn 1s, good enough for that Virgin's Temple if you want to, and provide you healing, and also give every unit healing as long as they're a Jedi. So give them, like, stack up the healing because restore stacks, or just give them healing if they don't already have it. They partner with Yoda's a good ever turn 2 units. You got Yoda, Ezra, Vigilance Protectors, and Concord Dawn Interceptors. They're very nice ones. Yoda, you can stack up the Restore with Yaddle, provide you more of a Restore, which is more healing, and also when defeated gets you to draw a card, which is really nice, replace himself. You got Ezra, which has the best stats you can get for free cost, 3/5, and also on attack can either buff up any other creature or spectre unit you control, which there's not too many of either that you're going to be using that are great, but it can be helpful there. You got Vigilance Protectors and Concord Dawn Interceptors, which are Sentinels for different arenas, so Vigilance Protectors for the ground, Concord Dawn for the space, and he provides nice benefits. So Vigilance Protectus comes in shielded, whereas Concord Dawn hits harder when it's attacked into, so it does 2 more damage while defending. Also, you got some 4 drops like Itinerant Warrior and Cunning as well, offer you some healing, whereas Itinerant Warrior uses the Force to heal 3 damage to your base and comes in shielded as a 4/4. And Cunning is a 4/5, but then needs to attack to then discard a card from your opponent's deck equal to the amount of Spectre you control, and for every aspect among those cards you milled from your opponent, you get to heal a damage for each. So if you hit 2 aspects, which is a standard, 2 healed from base, and is one that can be buffed up by Ezra. Then for your bigger units, you've got Obi-Wan Kenobi, Luke Skywalker, and Redemption as your bigger units, offering some like defending, healing, and removal. Whereas Obi-Wan is a Sentinel to defend yourself, and when defeated, you can give 2 experience to tokens to a unit, and if it's a Force unit, you draw a card. Luke Skywalker comes down, has Restore 3, and also minusing 3/3 on a unit when played. But if you've lost a unit that phase, so one of your units was defeated, minuses 6/6 instead. So like what Anakin was before we got Anakin. And you got Redemption, which is a nice big space unit, 6/9 for 8. Comes down Sentinel as well, and also can heal up to 8 damage among your base and other units, and then damage himself equals that amount you healed. So a nice way to heal up 8 damage from your base, chuck it on himself, and then defend 1 attack from space. We've also got Jedi Lightsaber and Forces with me, being some nice Force non-unit cards. The Lightsaber, same as General's Blade, 3 cost 3/3, but this time is for any Force unit can get the benefit, but when it attacks a unit, it minuses their stats by 2/2 before damage is dealt. And you got the Forces with me, which is a 4 cost event that, on average, just normally allows you to give 2 experience tokens to a unit and then attack with them. But the benefit here is if you draw a Force unit, you can also give a shield to the chosen unit. So a pretty nice one there. Now in just Vigilance, you got some pretty nice stuff, but the best stuff's in the Heroism side, but you got some pretty nice stuff. So if you want to go for Force focus, you've got Owen Lars, Seeker the Sage, Night Sister Warrior, Jared Emway, Kiadi-Mundi, and Anakin Skywalker as some good Force units. While Owen Lars isn't a Force unit, is a way to kind of search a Force, because when it's defeated, you can look at the top 5 cards in your deck for a Force unit and add it to your hand, which is cool, and also provides you with healing through Restore. Secret Sage and Night Sister Warrior are some ever turn 1 units you can have. Secret Sage comes out as a 2 cost 2/2, but shielded, whereas Night Sister Warrior comes as a 2 cost 2/2, but when defeated draws a card, so it gives you a card back. You've got Chirrut being a very good defender by being a very nice Sentinel in the ground. 4 cost 3/5, not the best stats, but still solid. And Sentinel, and also when attacked, you can use the Force, so using the Force token to minus damage by 2, and you can use it over and over again as long as you can keep generating the Force. Kiadi is great in that while he's on the board, as a 5 cost 5/7, which is very good stats. While you have 2 other units out with him, when your opponent plays their second card, you get to draw 2 cards. And Anakin, as we've seen, a good amount of minusing, especially if you can put in a villainy card in. Now, a non-Force unit I've put in is Axel Rose, because it's a very nice one where he's a turn 2 onwards unit, a 3 cost 2/2. Not great stats, but he comes in shielded, so he's protected. And for every upgrade on him, he gets an extra 1/1 for every upgrade. So if you have a shield on him, he gets an extra 1/1 for that, so for 3/3. If you put an experience token on it, any experience tokens you put on him are going to give him 2/2 instead of 1/1, which is good. So you put an experience on him with Obi-Wan as well, he's going to straight up by an extra 2/2, so with the shield and experience, he's going to become a 5/5 for free, which is pretty good. Then you've got your removal events. Now, Blue has a lot of removal events. You've got things like Shatterpoint, Takedown, Follow the Dragon, Vanquish, and Rival's Fall. It's all good removal, and they essentially just take out a unit straight away through an event. You've got different means and costs, and different ways to do it. So you've got like Shatterpoint, Takedown, and Follow the Dragon, all 4 costs, but they have different ways, where Shatterpoint needs to use the Force to take out any non-leader unit your opponent controls, or not use the Force to take out a non-leader unit that has 3 or less remaining HP. Takedown takes out any unit with 5 or less remaining HP, even leaders, and Follow the Dragon takes out any non-leader unit with 5 or more power. You've got Vanquish just for 5, takes out any non-leader unit, whereas Rival's Fall for 6 takes out any unit, even leaders. So good amounts of removal there. Now, is Vigilance a very good one to use? I would say it actually is, and it's very good, and a perfect one for Obi-Wan, because you get these very strong units, especially Force units help you generate Force by using the Force bases, and also good removal, so you can keep buffing up, playing out units, buffing him up with Obi-Wan, gaining the Force, and healing as well, and protecting your stuff with Sentinels, and also removal events, so very solid one there. So now we've got Vigilance out of the way, let's check out Aggression. So for Aggression, this is a very aggressive aspect. It's all about damage, and you've got some very solid stuff like the Fabled Force Throw. Now for bases, you've got 2 Force bases, both mean to attack, but different ways. So you've got Fortress Vader is one of those standard ones that every aspect has, which when you attack with a force unit, gain the force. Very easy, very simple. 28 health, standard. The rare base is 25 health, like all the rest of the rare bases are, but this one allows you to gain the force when a friendly unit deals 3 or more combat damage to an enemy base. So as long as you can attack a base with any unit, no matter what trait it's got, force or whatnot, but as long as you can do 3 combat damage to that base, you'll gain the force. You also have 3 less health than normal, but it means that anything can attack the base, and can attack to gain the force, just have to do 3 damage or more. Now for other bases, you've got Target Town be a nice damaging one, where a one-time use you can use the effect, the damage sign that's already damaged by 3 damage, so that's good. Thermal Slit is a very nice one to reduce the minimum deck requirement, so instead of being 50 minimum, you have 45 minimum, help consistency, or the 30 health skillless bases that's standard. So here in Heroism, like we got started off, you've got some of the better units, not a lot of force units, not too many force units, but some very strong ones. You got good turn 1 plays in Adigalia, Sabine Wren, and even Green Squadron A-Wing. I've put Sabine Wren and actually I can't remember if Sabine Wren does fulfill the requirement of the rare force base, but they're very good units. Adigalia is a force unit you can in turn 1 to swing, gain a force with those other common bases, and also every time you put it use an event, you do 1 damage to their base. Sabine Wren is a nice one to take out those pesky those secret saviors, those 2/2 force units that have a shield, so you can take them out because you ping the shield with his effect, and then do the 2 damage. And then also when on attack, she can do either damage to the unit she's attacking to, or your base, or your opponent's base. And when you have 3 different aspects among your other units she can't be attacked into. And then Green Squadron A-Wing is a nice space one if you want to go for the rare base to then be able to do 3 damage because it's got raid 2, so it swings to 3 when it hits the base. You got your turn 2 units in Cassian Andor and Red 5, which are pretty solid ones. Very good stats. Whereas Red 5 just helps damage things that are already damaged, but on attack deal 2 damage to a damaged unit. Whereas Cassian Andor, best stats you can get for a free drop, but also a smuggle, so you can resource him in later at 5 resources instead of 3. But when he's smuggled in, he comes in ready to attack straight away. You got Stella and Kiani as good turn 3 onwards units. Stella allowing to damage your base by 2 when played or when defeated, to look for a tactic from the top 8 cards of your deck to add it to your hands to help trying to find those good tactic cards, which is a lot of good tactic cards about. And Kiadi can help you use the force outside of Obi-Wan by using it to draw 2 cards. So it's like a bottle greed essentially, which is really good. Helps keep your hand healthy, solid stats for its cost too. Then you got your bigger units in Poe Dameron, Mace Windu, Wrecker, Rebellious Hammerhead, and even another Mace Windu. These are all really nice ones. The 2 force units in the Mace Windus have different effects. So you got a 6 cost 6/6 and a 7 cost 5/7. The 6 cost one has Overwhelm and a way to damage units by using the force to do 4 damage to any unit, not just ground space, 4 damage to any unit. While the other Mace Windu is a 7 cost 5/7, which is ambush, so it can attack straight away, same stats as Vader, and then when it defeats a unit by attacking it, when it attacks and defeats a unit, it can restand itself to attack again after as well. You got your Poe Dameron, which is a very good unit, 5 cost 6/6, which has multiple effects depending on how many cards you discard when it attacks. You can range from knocking off upgrades, damaging something, or making your opponent discard, which is really cool. Then you got your 6 costs in Wrecker and Hammerhead. They both can do damage by Wrecker killing off one of your resources to do 5 damage to a ground unit, as well as having Overwhelm for piercing. And Rebellious Hammerhead comes down as a 5/7 that does damage to a unit equal to the number of cards you have in hand. So the more cards, the more damage, less cards, the less damage. Then in normal side aggression, there's not as much, but there are some pretty good stuff. Like if you want to go for Force Focus, since Obi-Wan needs to use Force, you have Witch of the Mist, Jedi in Hiding, Cunning Voss, and a Sage Ventress. All Force units can gain the Force from that. Witch of the Mist and Jedi in Hiding have Hidden, so they can't be attacked at the same time they're played. And then you got one's a 1 cost 3, 1 free, so you can Force for the same on turn 1. While Jedi in Hiding has the ability to use the Force when defeated to make your opponent discard a card, so with hand control. Quinlan Voss and Sage Ventress have some art that matches well together, goes together, because if you've watched the I can't remember what it is, watched the Tales of the Empire, one of the Tales series, it kind of goes over this what an item. And then you got nice like matching effects as well, where Quinlan, he's got solid stats, 4/5 for a 4 cost, and when he attacks, if he has 6 or more power, it deals 2 damage to your opponent's base. And a Sage Ventress, when she played or attacks, she can give an error force unit an extra 2 power. So, actually 2/2 to the stats, so being Quinlan Voss, or no, not 2 power, I think maybe, no, it's buffing up at least power at least. Then you have utility units like CaptainScrubsily and CrowdDragon. CaptainScrubsily is a ramp outside of green, where if your opponent controls more resources than you, when you play them, you can ramp the top card of your deck. And CrowdDragon is just one of those big creatures. He's a 9-cost 10/10 that whenever your opponent plays a card, you can damage their base or ground unit equals the damage of the card they played, and he's even a card used for force throw, so just throw 9 damage using force throw at your opponent. And then on events, you've got the fabled force throw. This is the card away from set 1, where for the cost of 1, you can choose a player. That player then discards a card from their hand, and then if you control a force unit while you do this, you can do damage to a unit equal to the cost of the discarded card. And this is crazy because not only can you force throw your opponent, you can also force throw yourself to discard a card, and then that way you guarantee the amount of damage you want to do for the full effect. So by discarding your own CrowdDragon, it guarantees you doing 9 damage, something which is normally going to make your opponent's leader sit back down as soon as they deploy it. In terms of other events as well, you got some good tactics for Stella, being like, they're all these good tactics. You got Daring Raid, Open Fire, Pillage, Bombing Run, and Planting Bombardment. They all are damaging ones apart from Pillage, which is the one that make your opponent discard 2 cards from the hand. The rest are damaging ones, so Daring Raid does 2 damage, Open Fire for free does 4 damage, Bombing Run does 3 damage to every unit in an arena, either ground or space, whereas Planetary Bombardment throws at your opponent, mostly your opponent, 8 indirect damage that you can choose where it goes, or 12 if you control a capital ship. So, the thing you got to think about is aggression a good aspect for Obi-Wan? I would say yes, because Force Throw is a very good reason to go for it, and there are a lot of very strong heroic cards and good cards in aggression that help you out by doing a damaging effect, and helps out the command's downside or weakness in not really having good removal for things, whereas aggression has damaging effects like Force Throw as well to help you remove things which command has trouble with. So let's move on to the last one, being Cunning. So last thing we have is Cunning, and this is an aspect where there's lots of good leaders and cards in Cunning, but the bases are quite lacking. So with the force bases you've got, the standard attack with a force unit to gain the force in Holy City and Crystal Caves, but then with the rare base, it requires you to rest one of your resources, or exhaust one of your units to gain the force. So that means you can, as long as you play out units, you can rest them to gain the force, but then you're not really doing anything with them. So it's not a beneficial thing, because you want to more attack with your units to gain the force. Well, yeah, attack with units to do damage and gain the force, and using them for effects and stuff which you won't be able to do most of the time while exhausted. Also, the other bases you have Petricac Arena, which can give Obi-Wan extra 1 power while deployed, which is not great, really worth that. It's not really worth that extra lower health as well. You got Nabat Village, which is pretty decent, which can increase the consistency of your hand by opening with 9 cards instead of 6, but you lose your mulligan, so you're stuck with those 9 cards, you can't mulligan at all. And then you don't even get to keep those extra cards, because at the start of your first turn, you need to put back to the bottom of your deck 3 of your cards in your hand, so you can get to keep the extra cards you see. It just means that your deck your opening hand is more consistent by seeing more options to essentially, gain the force. Well, not gain the force, but opening with a strong hand, a good start. Then you got a 30 health base as your normal ones as well, if you don't want to use any of the other ones. So those are the bases. Now for the Heroism cards, they're pretty good, pretty strong, and like I said, the better cards are in Heroism. So you got your force lineup for the top row. You've got your going in order of turns you can play. So from turn 1 onwards, you've got Younglin Padawan. Younglin Padawan. You got Venestra Row, Ahsoka Tano, Plo Koon, Depa Billaba, and Qui-Gon Jinn. So all from turn 1 onwards, the first 6 turns of your game, you can go just play needs. He also provides nice effects like Younglin Padawan can give you the force straight away as soon as it's played, giving you the force, which means in turn 1 you can gain the force and then use the force straight away to buff it up. So Younglin Padawan Obi-Wan is technically a 2-cost 3/4, which is a very strong stats for a turn 1 unit. You got then Venestra Row, which can use the force as well by one played, using the force, and if you do, ready itself. So it can basically ready itself to attack straight away. And then you can then attack with it, then gain the force again, use Obi-Wan, then buffer up to a 4/5, which for free is really nice. You then got Ahsoka Tano, which on one played, makes your opponent discard a card from the hand, and if they discard a unit, you get the rest of the unit on the board. And just making your opponent discard a card is pretty good, and then buffing her up into a 4/6 is pretty solid too. You got Plo Koon, which ambushes down as a 3/6, so you can gain the force straight away from the force bases. And also then, if you've got 2 other units alongside him, he gains raid 3 as well, meaning it hits harder at 6 instead of just 3. You got Depot Lava, which also has Ambush, but also Saboteur, so you can ignore Sentinels, and defeat all the shields in your opponent's unit if you attack into one. Also comes down to 3/7, which can then be buffed up to a 6/8 with Obi-Wan. Then you got Qui-Gon Jinn, who is the more power-heavy one, so like the rest, but more defensive than offensive. Obi-Wan is a 7 cost, 7/5, so it comes down hits hard, Ambush as well, so it can also attack straight away. But when defeated, you can choose a unit, one of your opponent's non-leader ground units, and then they got a choice of putting either the top of the deck or the bottom of the deck. So a nice bit of removal and ambushing as well. Then you got some other units, some utility ones like space units like Fireball and Millennium Falcon, offering some good space units as well, with ambush on Fireball, but then takes the damage at the end of every turn. And then Millennium Falcon that can come in active, ready to attack straight away. But then you need to pay a resource to keep them on board, otherwise it goes back to your hand. And you got Kira, same stats as Ahsoka, same cost as well, but she allows you to look at your opponent's hand, have knowledge of what they got in their hand, but then choose any card, and then once it's named and she's on the board, that card in your opponent control, or that card of your opponent's, costs 3 more to play than its standard cost. Alongside those, you got some good events, so you got some really nice hand control ones, and also kind of upgrade 8 as well. So you got Jam Communications, which costs 1 to the opponent's hand and just not discard an event from it. Or you can double the cost of that for Spark Rebellion, which does the same thing but discards any card from your opponent's hand. So nice utility there. You also got Bamboozle, which is a way to really easily get upgrades knocked off your opponent. So your opponent like puts all their eggs in one basket on a single unit. You can use this to knock them off by using this and its effect is to exhaust a unit and return all upgrades on it to its owner's hand. Now if they're all just tokens and shields, or experience units and shield tokens, then you get to make all those just disappear, not go to their hand, and anything else that can go to their hand goes back, and also exhaust the unit. You can also play this for free, so it's a card you can always have available by, instead of paying its cost, discard a never Cunning card instead of paying its cost. So a very good card there. You've also got Cunning as well, like just normal Cunning cards. There's not many good ones, especially for like Obi-Wan wanting to gain the Force. The Force units you have, the only ones you have in normal Cunning are Mysterious Hermit, Dooku, and Sorceress of Tomb, which is not great. But Mysterious Hermit can attack the same time she's played, so turn 1 unit attack as well, gain the Force, and then use Obi-Wan to buff her up to from a 1/4 to a 2/5, which is, you already got Gungi for that, which then he can get buffed up to even more. Got Dooku, which is solid stats, same as Evekoff, but has Hidden, and then also re-triggers Hidden on the units that you play with Hidden. And you got Sorcerer's Tongue, which is a 6 cost, 6/6 shielded. That's it. For space units, you've got some extra ones like Sanctionary Shuttle, which can also potentially capture one of your opponent's cheaper units while you control 2 other units with it. And units Patrol Fighter can come in cheaper. You can exploit to get him out cheaper, and also bounces up to 3 cost, well, a unit that costs 3 or less back to the owner's hand. And you got some nice events as well, like you got some nice utility ones in Electromagnetic Pulse, be able to tap down those vehicles that do those space focused decks. Spy Strike, doing the same thing some of those units do, attack with a unit but give them a buff, but this time in the units you don't get a body with it. Outmaneuver, being able to arrest the entire arena's units down for a turn. And you got Now There Are 2 of them as a way to cheat out units as well, so if you don't have if you want not only just Jedi Counselor but every ways to do it, you got Now There Are 2 of them as a way to cheat things out 2 turns ahead. And Waylay as temporary removal too. So with Cunning, is that a good way to play Obi-Wan? I would say yes, because even though you don't get as many options or as many great cards as the other ones, these are some solid ones. Like you have some really good Force units to gain the Force, and ways to kind of start off with like a bit more of an aggro style, being able to hit harder and be more aggressive Obi-Wan, and so the other ones where aggression is more about tempo, and then blue is all about controlling and like making sure you're in control of healing as well to make sure you're surviving. So the last thing we have is my preferred aspects, because this is something that I've put in now for my videos, because in the beginning I was asked quite often what my preferred aspects would be when I did the first 2 sets of the series, but now since set 3 onwards I've been starting putting this in my videos for this series, because it's just a nice little bit of extra help, because while someone can go through this and kind of see get more information available to see how to best build a deck to suit them, sometimes you want that little bit of extra help to help them out. So I've just put this in just so you can see how I would play a leader if I were to play it. And for Obi-Wan, if I were to play it, which I do want to, I just need to get around to it, is I will play it with blue. So I would play Obi-Wan with blue because you access some really good units like Anakin Skywalker, Luke Skywalker, both the Skywalkers, Luke and Anakin, which offer you some really nice removal in their effects, which could be -6/6 for both. and also some good units that heal and just start strong statted. You also get some benefits from good force cards, like the Force is with me as well from blue, plus nice bits of removal from that aspect too. So they kind of compensate each other by green having good ramping and buffing, while blue giving you removal and stability and healing. So that's how I would play Obi-Wan. And that is it for the video, so hopefully that's helped you understand how to build Obi-Wan Kenobi to suit you and your playstyle, and you can go ahead and build him to help you out so you can go and start demolishing games and just performing with him. But that is it for me today. Thank you for watching. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and help us get to 2,000 subs. And also look out for next week when we go over the aggression leaders, starting off with Darth Maul.